What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, former IBF welterweight world champion, British superstar boxer, Special K, Kell Brook, rips former promoter, MATCHROOM CEO, Eddie Hearn. And he says, and he exposes Eddie Hearn, saying that I bailed Eddie Hearn out in his time of need when he asked me to move up 2 divisions from 147 and challenge then undefeated unified middleweight world champion superstar boxer Gennady Triple G Golovkin. He says he needed me to keep the company afloat, so I agreed. He says now, when I have a huge opportunity in front of me to become a world champion again, fighting a massive fight against American 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, and currently the WBO welterweight world champion, and he's widely considered the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world, Terence Bud Crawford, November 14th, Eddie Hearn is blocking the networks from airing the fight because I negotiated my deal with Terence Crawford with just me and my dad. So he says, in my time of need, Eddie Hearn don't want to come and help me out. But when he needed me to keep his company afloat, MATCHROOM, and his business, I did something out of the norm. I stepped out of the box, out of my comfort zone. I was fighting at 147. I went up to 160, challenged Gennady Golovkin because it's a big fight, to air and put on and showcase for his company. I put my career at jeopardy, and this is the thanks I get. He says, so he's blocking BT Sports. He says, I thought more from BT Sports since I fought on BT Sports for so long. I showcased my talents on BT Sports for so long. I thought that they would, show me a little more respect and air my fight. He says BT Sports are putting on fights such as non-title fights like Alexander Usyk and Derek Chisora. He says they're airing fights like Alexander Povetkin and Dillian White. He says, but these fights are not title fights. I'm in a massive fight at welterweight with the best fighter in the world, and they're choosing not to air my fight simply because Eddie Hearn is blocking it. Wow. Right? So Kell Brook, at the end of the day, put his career on the line and destroyed his career by fighting Gennady Golovkin and suffering that first eye injury that he suffered that broke his orbital bone. And then in the immediate fight after that fight, he fought now undefeated unified WBC IBF world champion superstar boxer Errol the Truth Spence Jr., who Errol Spence Jr. became IBF welterweight world champion by going to the UK, dethroning Kell Brook and breaking his other orbital bone. So Kell Brook put his career on the line for Eddie Hearn and his company to put on a big fight, to stage a big fight. And now the first time that Kell Brook wants to do something for himself, Eddie Hearn not just don't want to be included, but he wants to block Kell Brook from getting exposure. He wants to block Kell Brook from getting money. He wants to block Kell Brook from getting promotion. This just goes to show the fighters that they need to wake up. They need to start learning how to do business on their own. Stop taking the risk of running the risk of throwing your career away for your loyalty to the promoters, because clearly this is an indication. This is a wake-up call for Anthony Joshua, 2-time unified heavyweight world champion, British superstar boxer. Should be a wake-up call for all the fighters not in the UK that deal with Eddie Hearn, because this is a clear indication that What have you done for me lately? So since Eddie Hearn clearly looks at Kell Brook now as irrelevant, and Kell Brook negotiated this deal without Eddie Hearn, now Eddie Hearn, in return, just doesn't want to not be involved, but he wants to block Kell Brook from getting exposure and getting access to these networks like BT Sports. And also Sky Sports said they wasn't going to get involved. So now you have the networks being blocked for Kell Brook in the UK. Because it's now Eddie Hearn can see, it's one thing you can say, well, Eddie Hearn is not involved in the negotiation, so why do Eddie Hearn owe Kell Brook anything? You're right. But why is Eddie Hearn going out his way to tell these networks not to air the fight with Kell Brook and Terence Crawford in order to spite Kell Brook? This is a wake-up call for all the fighters involved that deal with Eddie Hearn and these promoters. Not just Eddie Hearn, because it's promoters overall, because they're going to have their best interests first. They have to secure their future, their family first. First things first, knowledge of self. First thing first, take care of self. If you don't have self, you don't have nothing. And so it should be a learning lesson for everybody involved. Overall. See, Eddie Hearn don't have to go out his way to tell the BT Sports, because clearly this is what's going on. He don't have to go to BT Sports and say, don't air the fight. He don't have to go to Sky Sports and use his connections to not promote Kell Brook, because Kell Brook don't involve him at this point in time. This is equivalent to Bob Arum losing Mikey Garcia and then telling ESPN and HBO, don't do business with Mikey Garcia for a fight that he negotiates. But it's even worse than that, because, see, Kell Brook and Eddie Hearn didn't have a public nasty breakup like Bob Arum and Mikey Garcia. Right? They didn't have a court battle like Mikey Garcia and Bob Arum. If they have any rocky, or their relationship is rocky, it's behind the scenes. Kell Brook has never come public and said anything bad about Eddie Hearn. So why would Eddie Hearn take the opportunity? Because this is a massive fight and Eddie Hearn wants to be involved and wants to attach his name to this fight that's massive. And Kell Brook is saying, no, I'm going to do this, negotiate, and be my own boss on this one. And Eddie Hearn said, okay, you can't be your own boss without me, because you need networks, and I have the connection to the networks. And because I'm a bigger entity. I'm a bigger entity, and I'm more relevant right now, and you need these networks, then guess what? I'm going to pull the networks from underneath you. I'm going to prevent you from being able to promote yourself. This is what I'm going to do. That is highly disrespectful to Kell Brook. As Kell Brook stated, he put his career on the line for Eddie Hearn. He jeopardized his career moving up 2 divisions. And guess what? Everybody at that time, they stated, everybody at that time, this is what they stated. They said, Kell Brook should not listen to Eddie Hearn. And what is Eddie Hearn doing, jeopardizing Kell Brook's career, allowing him to go up to full middleweight and challenge Gennady Golovkin at the height of Gennady Golovkin's career? Why is Kell Brook going up 2 weight classes to challenge Gennady Golovkin? There's other fights at welterweight, big fights. You had Keith Thurman at welterweight. You had a rematch with Sean Porter. Errol Spence was making his way through the division. There was talks of a possible Floyd Mayweather-Kell Brook fight at that time, right? Manny Pacquiao was being talked about as a possible opponent for Kell Brook. Amir Khan. Now, he didn't deliver these fights for Kell Brook. So he dared to be great and they sold a storyline to go up to middleweight and challenge Gennady Golovkin, who was seen as top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, undefeated, knocking out everybody. And Kell Brook went up, dared to be great, to help Eddie Hearn lift his company and keep his company afloat to where it is today. Now Eddie Hearn has outgrew Kell Brook because Kell Brook is not as relevant as he was then. So he helped Eddie Hearn get to the status he is, and now this is the return Eddie Hearn gives him by cutting off his food supply. This is a learning lesson to all the boxers out there. Learning lesson. Obviously the guy signed to Eddie Hearn, Demetrius Andrade. You're not getting these big fights. Learning lesson. But drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.